Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we are looking at the armor and items in God of War Ragnarok that provide the biggest challenges to unlock.
Now, what you got?
But before we get into it, we publish new content all week long. So be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Classic Spartan Armor Set. After Sony released free DLC, we all flocked to Valhalla to see what was in store. With its roguelike structure and story that called back to Kratos' Greek days, it was a tough but satisfying playthrough. Since you're stripped of most resources before going in and unlockable armor is only cosmetic, making it to the end can be a bit challenging, especially since you have to do it 4 times to actually complete it.
It's all in the wrist, you know.
After vanquishing Tyr for the 4th time, who's no slouch in the combat department by the way, you'll unlock Kratos' classic Spartan look for a New Game Plus playthrough. It also boosts his strength, defense, and vitality stats, so it's definitely worth earning. cter's Scorched Armor Set. Muspelheim, a realm solely meant to test your combat skills through waves of enemies, returns in Ragnarok, where it has in no way been made any easier. To get cter's Scorched Armor Set, you first have to beat the 6 Crucible challenges to unlock the final challenges, which are naturally a lot harder than the others. You'll get the cuirass for completing your first challenge in this set, the bracers after completing the 3rd, and the girdle after completing the 4th. They're all hard, so choosing which ones sound most manageable to you is key. It's undeniably one of the strongest sets in the game. The cuirass lets Kratos deal more damage when interrupting attacks, while the other pieces decrease damage and stagger he takes while attacking. Dragon Scaled Armor Set. This badass-looking armor set grants Kratos a couple of neat perks, so long as you're good about blocking and parrying. The bracers and girdle both increase your shield's damage while also dealing shield damage to enemies you block or parry. The breastplate grants a buff to your strength and defense stats with each block and parry, resetting the stack when you take damage. Of course, something this good can only be earned late game, specifically after you reach the enormous side area in Vanaheim, the crater. That's because the parts you need to craft the armor are only dropped by dragons, drakes, and drekkies. Pretty tough encounters. You only need to slay a couple beasts to earn the necessary parts, but if you want to upgrade it, you'll have to do a lot more hunting. Hilt of Skofnung. Odin has 48 of his raven spies hidden around the realms. While you'll come across many of them naturally and will want to kill them for the XP, you're bound to miss at least a few unless you check in every nook and cranny, or feel like backtracking to check those completion boxes. If you do get all of them and head to Niflheim, you'll find a secret boss waiting for you, the Raven Keeper. Similar to a revenant on steroids, she likes to teleport around the arena, hurling projectiles and summoning minions. In fact, at a quarter health, she'll summon a dragon known as the Pale One. Your reward for tracking all ravens down and defeating their keeper is the Hilt of Skofnung, a handy item that pushes enemies back and gives Kratos an aura of protection. Hunter's Armor Set. Like the dragon-scaled set, this armor can also only be gained after reaching the crater. You have to complete 3 specific quests in order to get Hunter's Brands, the resources required to craft it. The first quest is In Plain Sight, having Kratos face a Soul Eater. The second is Nocturnal Predator, having him contend with the Flame Phantom. The third is not part of a named quest, instead dealing with the Untamed Fury, a centaur huntress who ambushes you at different spots and retreats after you deal enough damage. That last enemy is the bigger pain of the 3, since you must face her 5 times, with the last one having you find her lair in the jungle. The armor's gauntlets and belt increase the damage of Kratos' ranged attacks, and the pauldron does the same while aiming. Berserker Armor Set.
Whoa! What did Cool Poker ever do to you?
This set is for high-risk, high-reward type players. When using a relic, the cuirass briefly increases the damage of enemy attacks, but gives a big boost to Kratos' melee attacks. The gauntlets grant a low luck chance for soul explosion on each hit, which causes damage and recharges his relic. Finally, the waist guard grants a moderate luck chance for soul explosion when Kratos is hit, blocks, or parries.
I am growing very sick.
To find these pieces, though, you'll have to defeat 3 Berserker fights, some of the hardest in the game. The gauntlets are gained after beating Skothindi the Unerring in Niflheim, the waist guard is earned after beating Frankie the Zealous on the Lake of Nine, and the cuirass is earned after beating Sviptikar the Cold in Alfheim, who brings 2 friends with him. And yes, I probably did mispronounce all of those names. Steinbjörn Armor Set. This armor set is particularly good for making a comeback when surrounded by enemies. While equipped and after taking some damage, the waist guard and gauntlets give Kratos a moderate luck chance to stagger and stun enemies, and the chest piece lets him steal their health. That's on top of a really great defense stat. You can find it anytime after completing Chapter 10. By returning to the Lake of Nine, you'll find the mystical heirloom to the southwest of Tyr's temple. Using this at certain places in the game triggers a troll fight, one at the derelict outpost in Midgard, one at the Forbidden Sands in Alfheim, and a duo of trolls at Noatun's Garden in Vanaheim. Understandably, the toughest. Rönd of Obliteration.
I felt that one, brother.
Ragnarok gives players another ultra-tough Valkyrie queen to face in Gná, Sigrun's successor. She's fought at the end of the post-game quest that sees Kratos and Freya disposing of Odin's remaining forces, and she is a beast, to put it lightly. Upon beating her, you'll earn the Rönd of Obliteration, a shield attachment that boosts all stats and charges a group of projectiles after blocking for a few moments. It's tough to get, but certainly more so in Valhalla. Here you get it after beating Tyr's final fight on the hardest difficulty, Show Me Mastery, while being afflicted with the penalty of breaching, which drains Kratos' health as you play until he's a breath away from death. Zeus Armor Set. Although it was a bit harder to unlock in the 2018 game, gaining the Armor of Zeus is still no small feat in Ragnarok. It can only be found in a New Game Plus playthrough during the post-story quests, meaning you basically have to beat the entirety of the game twice before you can even use it. The War Belt is earned after clearing Odin's forces in Vanaheim by Freyr's camp, the Gauntlets are earned after clearing them out of the Alfheim Desert, and the Cuirass is earned after defeating Gná. If you feel like playing for a third time, each piece has the same stackable perk, Divine Edge. This increases the power of Kratos' melee and runic attacks by 40%, but increases all incoming damage by 100%. Hilt of Skofnung. You'll get this hilt upon starting the Fit for a King side quest, but it'll be useless. In order to use it, you'll have to track down all 12 Berserker fights, which, as I mentioned before, are incredibly difficult. The final one, King Hrolf Kraki, swaps between weapons and abilities of other Berserkers at random, making him a hard opponent to read. Despite a long cooldown, the hilt is incredible, summoning a group of ghostly blades to tear through enemy encounters. This is another item made more difficult to earn in Valhalla. After unlocking the third arena in the Greek area, the Forum, Kratos will be met by one of the Berserkers. You need to visit the Forum 3 times in a row, and then face the king with whatever build you've managed to concoct. After defeating him, you'll be granted the hilt, as well as cosmetic-only Berserker armor for future runs. Are there any other items in Ragnarok you felt were a pain to unlock? Let us know about them down in the comments.
It is done.
Well, this one's done. Got a ways to go before this crater's cleared out.